I've started the recording. And I also need to start the theme song. Give me a second. Hello, and welcome back to Gimme Gimme the Ball, where armchair GMs talk basketball. That's right, we're a bunch of men sitting in our armchairs with no knowledge of actually how the game works. Well, some knowledge, I guess, but definitely not enough to be called GMs. That's the conceit of the show. I am one of your GMs, Tyler. As always, I've got Adam.
Hello.
And Brandon.
Hello.
Guys, we are recording today on February 11th. It is a Tuesday. It is many days past the trade deadline, but still things are happening. Still trades of sorts, or I'm not exactly sure what this is considered, this window.
Trades that have fallen through.
Exactly, trades have fallen through. Since our last episode, and honestly, it's been such a murky time with our conversations because we'll have an episode and then miss out on a giant piece of news like 2 days after that, and it's happened now like twice. So I think we're gonna be caught up today. I think after we go over things today, we'll no longer be caught off guard with our pants down in a locker room that we don't belong to anymore because we got traded in the middle of the night. I guess I don't know if chronologically is the right way. Let's do reverse chronologically. How about the newest news that Christian Wood has been traded from the Los Angeles Lakers in replace for Alex Len. Or he wasn't traded, he was waived, right?
He was waived, yes.
He was waived for Alex Len. Christian Wood was a big name for a while there and then did nothing.
But you certainly heard a lot of it when
True.
people talked about the Lakers.
True.
Yeah, he was in line for a max contract conversation at some point, which is really interesting to kind of see his downfall. But I'm curious about what his future looks like in the NBA post this, considering he's recovering from knee surgery. So big men with bad knees don't normally add up.
That is true.
Yeah.
That seems to be
bad back.
that seems
Or
to be
bad
a common
backs.
occurrence in the NBA. If you are big and have any sort of injury, good luck.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, Alex Len is an interesting pickup for the Lakers, considering he's been around for a while and has always been that backup big man type. So
That's exactly what they need. Except don't they need a front of big man type?
Well, I mean, they have Dalton Connect, so I mean,
You're right.
that's
Yeah,
a big.
they
big
have
man
the
right
connection.
there.
My bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Connect
The
D.
connection is back.
I'm reading here. Alex Len was gonna sign with the Pacers, but after the Mark Williams trade imploded, which is if we go reverse chronological, that's the next piece to talk about. Mark Williams was going to go to the Lakers in part of that trade deadline, and then they found he had too many things wrong with him. I don't know.
Yeah, they ran their normal just check up to make sure everything was good, that they weren't getting damaged goods on him, and came back as some concerns. It's definitely an interesting situation because you don't have too many rescinded trades, but I think there's already been a challenge made to the commissioner about whether or not like he's going to be able to be moved or even the trade can be called off. So
Like challenge to the NBA commish.
yeah, like whether or not they can actually say, no, actually we kind of don't want this guy.
Well, they already did the welcome back message, so in my brain, it's done and dusted.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely interesting.
So this doesn't happen often.
No, I can't even remember the last time. I think this is like the most recent, like I guess quote unquote biggest name it's happened to recently, based off of just the physical itself. Normally, when this happens, it's not even like trade deadline stuff, but it's very interesting with all the Luka shuffling around. I'm curious to see how it's handled, especially if there is a challenge made to the NBA brass about whether or not, like, does does he get lumped in with the team? Does he end up? Does this just turn into a nothing burger and the trade never happened? So, um, yeah, very interesting situation.
It's so interesting, and the rescinded thing is pretty rare. I guess we don't really see a lot of that. Can I just want to do a little aside.
Go ahead.
There could be a piece to blame the Lakers on here, but sometimes I just wonder, what are the Hornets doing? Sometimes, just in general, I just wonder, like on every level. Like, and I was just thinking about this, the weird Hornet stories we get, like pretty consistently. Like, you guys remember back in December when they like the mascot like handed a kid a PlayStation 5 during like at whatever a quarter break like thing, and then when the cameras stopped rolling it took the PS5 away,
Yeah,
and then like gave him a jersey, and then they had to issue an apology for that. The weirdest stuff. And it's, look, I know these are very different levels of management for the Hornets, but for this one, this whole they released a statement welcoming Mark back
yeah,
to the Hornets
I love it. It's
after
amazing.
another team aggressively pursued Mark. They're acting like the Lakers, like with flashlights, kicked down their door and came in and kidnapped him in the middle of the night.
yeah,
Um, we made the difficult decision to move him. We have always had great respect for Mark's talent, work ethic, and character. Literally the same day this comes out, there's now this story that they're put an inquiry into the NBA.
Like, take him,
yeah,
So,
please. Please get him off our hands, please. Well, because they're trying to get Nurkic, right?
oh
uh,
please, he belongs there.
yeah. It'd be an
Sorry, Hornets
interesting.
fans.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you're saying there could be ground to blame LA for this. I want to hear what the
Yeah,
LA
but
fan thinks about ground to blame
you
LA.
can always, yeah, you can always find a way to blame LA. And I mean, I don't think the argument that Palenka got like cold feet holds a lot of water. I don't see that being. They need like man who is tall. That's like what the Lakers need. And so whether he's kind of defensively challenged or not, he would have been probably the right kind of fit on this team. So there had to be something in that physical that just didn't look right, I would think.
Do y'all have
Um,
suggestions for if Alex Len wasn't currently signed, who the Lakers should have gone for, I guess, for their big
Um,
man?
well, it's hard to say because there's not a lot of free big men just floating out there.
right.
And realistically, this is where the Lakers are kind of in no man's land when it comes to just like a center position in general. Is they need a starting center. Um, Maybe doesn't have to play, full starters minutes, but I think their goal is to just get someone in there that could, run at least 20, if not 30 minutes a game at the center position and lock it down in the paint. They've been relying on Anthony Davis at that position for so long, playing
Right.
40 minutes a game.
That's who it was. I was
Um,
gonna suggest they should try to get Anthony Davis. Damn.
I heard
Definitely.
if they tried to get him right now, he might fail the physical as well.
Oh,
So,
you know what? He'd be rescinded
um,
as well. Oh man, I'm glad
Yeah.
no one's getting fleeced on this potential Anthony Davis trade.
yeah.
Such a good thing. So to me, the guy that I kind of wanted the Lakers to try to grab was Walker Kessler.
Mm,
Um, that would have been probably tough to pull off, but I mean, really at this point, this is a very much a this season problem. I think they can get somebody pretty decent in the off season, or at least that's decent enough that they can get to fit in with what they've got going on there
Jakob
after they kind of
Pertl
figure
to the
out what
Los
they've got
Angeles
going on there.
Lakers. Yay.
Who?
Jakob Pertl to the Los Angeles
There
Lakers.
you go. There you go. But I mean, they did the right thing with Len. I mean, they got a guy who is tall. That's really what they needed. They needed someone to offer like some semblance of rim protection, because that was the funny thing. And I'm transitioning us a little bit, but about the Luca debut, which was, fine. Yeah, I don't think you really learned anything from it. But I think his shot's going to get a lot better. But it was already cool to see LeBron and him working with each other, and some of their assists and that sort of thing. But yeah, you could definitely see when a ball like I mean, Utah was just gobbling up offensive rebounds in that game.
Well, what can you
Um,
ask for Luca, man? Apparently, he's so fat he can't get even an inch off the ground. I don't. He had to cut him some slack, man.
I feel like this is a good if he can accept. Look, a lot's going to fall on him, but in some ways, it really felt to me last night like he actually weirdly doesn't seem like he'll have to do as much on this team.
Mm-hmm.
He will need to facilitate and stuff, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, it really seemed like with LeBron there, with some of the other guys, he could really be a little more of a facilitator than having to be the one man wrecking crew.
And I
Oh,
think the minute
absolutely.
LeBron is a wee bit too old or tweaks his growing again, you know, that's
Well,
where you got to step it up.
I think the dynamic of the team, right? Like, not saying that the Mavericks were built around like bigger players or anything like that, but they had some younger, flashy big men playing around Luca. And one of their main problems, and the reason they went out to get Clay this offseason, was they didn't have a ton of just like shooters outside of uh, Luca and Kyrie. So
Right.
the dynamics of the Lakers team right now is mostly shooters. I feel like,
Yeah.
uh, with some flexibility around like I guess lack of flexibility around the center position and the big men. So they're going to be playing a lot of small ball, which I think leans into your point where he doesn't look like he's having to uh, navigate around to get his shot. He's being able to facilitate more, but I think that's just like by the dynamics of having a small ball team. There's a lot more back cuts. There's a lot more spacing. There's a lot more fluidity in just how those teams move. Now, whether that translates to like long-term success, as has been recently stated, infamously, defense wins championships. So it'll be
Right.
interesting to see uh, how they perform against teams with more elite big men. I'm
Oh yeah.
excited for the Lakers Spurs game that was rescheduled to see how that goes down. Not saying that we have too many big men, but the
Bro,
one
we
that we do
gotta.
have is
We have the
insane.
latest big man acquisition,
You have
except for today. Come on, I don't.
you also have like two big men stacked on top of each other
It's
in one
true.
guy.
Yeah,
We have
So that
we have
helps.
two big men on a stacked on each other's
Yeah, this is a
shoulders on a
trench
trench
coat, right?
coat.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No, no, yeah, they're gonna really struggle with that this year. Now, I believe enough in Luca and LeBron to think they can figure some things out. Can they make a finals run? I think that's maybe a bit more far-fetched for this season, but it actually, to me, oddly feels more possible than it did before this trade. Well, I mean, I guess it's not that crazy, right? We got fucking Luka Doncic on the
you're
Lakers.
saying that
Uh,
you feel like your team got better after you fleeced a team out of their top 10 player for peanuts? You
I
kidding
feel
me?
like the Lakers did get better, but that is going to be a big issue for them is figuring out that rim protection and that. Man, hey, Jackson Hayes caught some lobs. He's looking good,
yeah.
but
Well, and
yeah,
that's I was gonna say too. I definitely put on the Cope goggles after the Spurs first game with Fox, where they looked fantastic. But one of the other things you'll have to keep in mind is they've only had one game with Luca, and it was against
right,
the Jazz.
right,
So they haven't had it. It's nice that I think that starting him in that game is nice because he gets to, for lack of a better word, get acclimated to the game again. Not that he
right.
was ever out of it for that long, but he's been dealing with injuries and new team. Maybe I don't think it really shook his confidence necessarily, but getting to start with like a game where you can kind of turn your brain off and do a little bit more of that facilitating,
Oh,
just feeling the game out, I think is a great start for him. But yeah, I agree. Let's once this team has to play against some more dynamic big men, I think it's going to be an interesting situation. Rui Hachimura is a great player. I don't know that he's like going to be able to guard big men as well. Cam Reddish, same idea. I think they're both like solid at like what they do, but it's going to be interesting to see if they have to split minutes or one of them gets into foul trouble. You're really relying on like Dalton Connect and I don't know Jackson Hayes to lock down a big man.
Right.
Well, can
I'm
we
not sure
talk
that
about
that's
a
the
team
best.
that doesn't seem like will be that much an issue for the Lakers in that sense? Which is unfortunate because they were supposed to be the issue for the Los Angeles Lakers. The Mavericks' other center, Daniel Gafford, has a right knee sprain. So on
Yeah.
top of Davis being out and Gafford being out, they also have Lively is out, Gafford is out, Washington out, Powell is out, and of course they traded Maxi Kleba during the
It's
earlier this year. So they
it's
have no height either.
it's actually looking kind of realistic that they could miss the play-in. If
Hmm.
you look at I mean, I don't know that they will. I imagine they have enough talent that that won't be their fate. But if AD's out for a month, by the way, just really quick aside, really funny that Luca has Utah Jazz, and then All Star break. I just think that's hilarious. If you're talking about the ideal way to come back,
Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
the way to do
training
it.
wheels, and then a nice like chillax after that. You know,
Absolutely.
watch the tape
But
for a month or for 2 weeks.
yeah, with the Mavs, I mean, man, what a mess over there. And just like with the sell the team of it all, the rightfully outraged fans, and then Davis looks so dominant
Hmm.
at the beginning of that first game, and then of course, he's injured by the end of it, and downplays it, and now it turns out he's out for a month. That's
What did I DM in our group chat? Wrap it up, folks. I think
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's literally when
really.
I've heard that injury. I'm like, no matter what they say, like this is doom. This is a doom scroll right now. You're just gonna
And the
go
sad
through
thing is,
waves of it.
they looked scary before that. I mean, like
What did people
when you
say?
had Davis, all those guys out on the floor, they had so much size.
What they said
It was kind of
it was the ultimate Anthony Davis like package in one game.
kind
where
of
Yeah.
where
yeah.
like he's there, you're unsure. Bam, he's like one of the best players in the entire league. Bam, he's injured and out for the rest of the season. Cool. So I would kind of want to return to the question I asked Adam last episode, which I again has been immediately something happened right after I asked it. It says, did the Lakers win this trade, and was this the worst trade of all time?
Uh, at this point, once again I'm gonna circle back to that kind of first answer I give. I know it looks extremely bleak for the Mavs right now. It's fair to say that it's it would be hard to ever get to a point where the Lakers did not come out in a better situation.
See, the
Uh,
one thing I want to add here is like this wasn't some fluke like crazed thing out of the sky like lightning struck Anthony Davis randomly in the pool. If lightning struck
I
Anthony
know.
Davis, it's because he's wearing a metal suit of armor coated in water. Like everyone for 100% knew this was coming.
yeah, he's definitely injury prone, which is their like why one of the other questions of why you would take the risk of Anthony Davis, even if him and Luca were comparable, like in your mind as a skill level, if they're the same, they're going to move the needle the same amount, they have the same upside, everything. Anthony Davis by far has the worst downside because he's so injury prone. Like you might not get games out of him, you might not be able to like see him on the court all season. So um, yeah,
That
definitely interesting.
that and also defense wins championships. You know what else wins championships? Health. You're
Yeah,
depending on Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, and Anthony Davis to stay healthy through 4 rounds of the playoffs.
No, they
yeah.
only need to worry
That
about
was the move.
Kyler Kelly, their G League center they just signed. Brandon, come on.
Sure, there you go. Well, they're saved. He'll come in and clean things right up.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
as Kyrie that injury prone these days? He hasn't really been uh, super
I
injured in the last
mean,
couple years, right?
the well, he just came. I mean, he was injured a little earlier this season,
No,
a
well,
Yeah.
bit.
I guess I'm not paying
Um,
attention that much. Also,
yeah,
I
not
don't care much for him.
not anything AD level, but like And Clay hasn't been injured like recently, but these are just they're all in their 30s. These are just aging stars, you know.
Well, and one thing I'll say about Kyrie too is like even though he's not super injury prone, and I think I've talked to you about this Tyler before, but uh looking at dynamic point guards that are like super uh not necessarily reliant, but like one of the things that gets them their shot is being athletic and being able to beat their guy. It's if you even like tweak your ankle a little bit, that affects you more than the big man who can, kind of rumble and bumble down underneath. You know what I mean?
True.
If you lose that step, your
I mean, that's your
gameplay
game.
becomes
Yeah,
different. Yeah,
that's your whole
exactly.
game.
So some other players might be able to kind of like play through a tweaked ankle or like a little bit of soreness, but if you're losing that step as like the Kyrie of this team, it can be tricky, especially if you're the superstar now, considering that your recently traded for superstar went down. So it'll be interesting to see if he can continue to perform.
I want to say that the Mavs are cursed, but it's like, can you be cursed when you put yourself in the poop bucket? Like, can you curse the gods if you're the one who jumped into the landfill? I don't think so. I think it's all unfortunate for the fans are cursed. How about that? I
Yeah,
think if
it's
you're a fan of the Dallas Mavericks, you are cursed, homie. If you're a Dallas fan in general with the football and the basketball teams, you're cursed.
Did you guys see the clip of the guy at the game where they were going around? It was like there was a song playing and everyone was singing the lyrics, and it gets to the guy and he's like singing, and then he just abruptly stops and just mouths "Fire Nico" like right into the camera
I did
on
see
the jumbotron.
I did see a
Pretty
clip
good.
of Mark Cuban telling fans to sit down and shut up when they were yelling "Fire Nico" in the stands. Mark Cuban
I'm
was like
surprised the
courtside.
people in the stands weren't Mark Cuban in a fake mustache with like a costume on, you
You,
know?
I mean,
Like
he's got to stand by his boys, I guess, right? He's the one who is who he sold the team
he
to.
really Oh, I'm so mad. Fire Nico. Is that Mark Cuban? It's like a guy
I
with a
liked the last
fake
owner.
mustache.
That last owner was really cool.
He's really an innovator, honestly.
Do you
Uh,
guys mind if I bring it back to a special place for just a moment?
sure.
you got the you
That
got the horn
place
ready?
that place is called
Andre Hunter on the Cavs.
Oh, there it is.
the Homer Corner. The Homer alarm isn't sounded. I just want to say that our boy Steph Castle is rookie of the month, potentially rookie of the year, playing his mind out of the game right now. Like, of course we'll probably talk about Fox in a little bit, but that kid is amazing. That kid's so
Yeah,
good.
he's performing really well. He plays like a vet. He has some limitations in his game. Definitely, his shooting's not the best right now.
You can't have it all,
But
Adam. He's not Adonis.
I mean, you can learn to shoot the ball. Don't
Exactly.
ask Ben Simmons how, but you can learn.
Ben Simmons has to learn a few other things first, like how to dunk on a 6 foot man.
But at the same time, he's doing all the right stuff. He has the motivation. He's fun to watch. I can't wait to trade him to the Lakers in 7 years when eventually they somehow ring us around the neck and
Dude,
force him to move their contract.
Palinka's talking to Pop at that point, who's 106 years old, and he smooth talks him into giving him Steph.
Listen,
Yeah,
all you can ask for from a basketball team is that the team comes together and plays like a family, you know, as one unit.
Mhm.
And I really think that's what they did when they barely beat the Wizards the other day. That was
Okay.
really, just a real team effort. Um,
we we
I'm
it's absolutely insane. The games since Fox has been on the team, we've had 3 games decided by 1 point, and then we beat the Wizards by 20 points in the first quarter, only to then almost lose to them. So if nothing else, it's entertaining. I do feel like it's taking years off my life as a Spurs fan, but
it's all growing pains, you
yeah,
know.
I will
That's
say
all.
I would
in
feel
his time, Fox has looked fantastic. I
I,
think he's playing very well.
that's part of the Homer corner I want
Oh
to
yeah.
talk about. Do the Sacramento fans have grounds to be as angry as they are? right now.
Uh,
Have you seen the discourse in like the
I
Sacramento
have
subreddit
not.
and like the
I haven't
Twitter?
either.
So basically, they view Fox as we viewed Kawhi,
Oh,
in which
interesting.
he was like, his look at his body language now on the Spurs. He dropped 30 on the Spurs in the second game back. He hasn't been like that for us for like a year. Like he hasn't shown any bit of that energy. He definitely was just like sandbagging himself so he can force his way out.
Uh,
Like what a snake. He's such a snake in the grass. Just now he's showing up all of a sudden because he's on a new team.
How could he not be motivated by that team you put around him? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I'd also say, as much as like I don't like their roster, they had a lot of mouths to feed in Sacramento. We have Wemby, and that's pretty much it. And Wemby's been sick since he got here, so
It's feasting season for the Fox.
yeah, he has no restrictions on just taking the ball and shooting it. He's probably at this point watching him shoot. He is our best shooter on the team.
That's Isn't that not
Unfortunately,
great? Because when we were assessing him before he came on the team, we said his shooting is one of his weaker points.
well, it's not. He's not a like 3-point shooter.
right.
Like he's not known for that. He can shoot the ball. I would compare him to in my mind he was always similar to like Keldon in that aspect, if you want to put it into another Spurs term,
But
where
faster.
his whole goal is to get to the basket and potentially like play some solid defense. It was not to shoot threes unless they were like, you know, he's if he shot a three, you're not upset, but like his goal is not to go out there and just shoot threes. So
Well, I'm looking at the stat line. He was 1 of 4 at the
yeah,
three line, but he also scored 30 with Wemby's 30. So half of the points of the game were scored by these two guys.
and is playing solid defense. That's the one thing I want to like. I can't understate is uh, how much of a like like solid defender he can be.
Do you want to know his
I'm
plus
not
minus, Adam?
last night.
Yeah.
Uh,
You want
sure.
to
I'm not
guess?
okay. So he was in for the big run at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he was in for the Wizards' big run in the second quarter. So I'm gonna say it was positive,
Mm-hmm.
plus 15.
It is plus 25.
Oh, okay. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
he had
Oh.
a insane uh, plus minus as opposed to Kulabali or however you pronounce his name with a minus 27.
Hmm.
Anyways, I just wanted to be a little bit of Homer Corner. Congratulate a rookie. Fox is looking good. The team shouldn't be almost losing to the worst team in the league. All those points.
That's a new. They're getting used to things. They're gonna be fine.
Yeah, Brandon, Homer Corner for you. Tell us about the Cavs. I know you guys added a piece to the Cavs dynasty here, and you guys
I just like,
had a great game.
you know, I like how DeAndre looked. We absolutely waxed the Timberwolves last night. Um, the game started out 16-0, and in large part due to DeAndre Hunter's efforts. He
Yeah,
he looked great, and you know
weren't you
what?
guys at one point 22-3, like in that first quarter or the first half?
Oh yeah, yeah, it was something like that. It was nuts. Yeah, they got off to a fantastic start,
Ant
and
who? Am I right? Right
yeah,
before
Ant's the only one who was doing anything
right
for
before the All-Star game,
Wolves
dude, man.
last
Ant's
night.
gonna Ant's gonna have a chip on his shoulder going into the All-Star game. Now.
Well, hopefully he saves it for after the All Star game. I don't know if that's the best place to have a chip on your shoulder.
That's where you make
Uh,
the money, Brandon. That's where you get those.
you'll be the only one, I promise.
Dude,
But
the Rising Stars game's pretty intense. No,
I guess
nah,
I
I
don't
don't. I don't
know. I
know.
mean, Ant's not in the Rising Stars game,
Nah, but still, yeah. Congrats.
but
I mean, you guys are just
thank
good
you.
all
You know,
year. I mean, do we?
it is. It's one of those things that it's not worth talking about that much because it's like, okay, like time for the postseason. Like the biggest question is like, can we keep up the 1 seed? And I sure hope so. But at this point, it's kind of.
I don't
I
know,
I
man.
am glad that
Those Raptors tomorrow. Maybe they'll sneak it from you. Man. The Toronto
they could.
Raptors.
They absolutely could. Cleveland's had their share of off games this year, um,
Not many.
and they've managed to win a good number of them. But
You are currently. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong game. My bad.
but All I'll say is 6'8" dudes. Welcome in Cleveland. You know, we like we like a 6'8" guy and playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So
I was gonna say I think in the chaos that was this trade deadline,
mhm.
this might have been sneakily the like best fitting move that I saw out of everything. I mean, obviously, Luka's graded on a curve for this one because I don't consider that we made a move to make our team have a better fit. I do think the Lakers improved drastically.
It was more like we made a move to catch the gigantic fumble of another organization, the
Exactly,
historic fumble. We had our arms open.
We
and then the other
picked
big
up, the
one.
ball was bouncing and we grabbed it. Right.
Yeah, and then the other big one being the Fox fit. I still, as excited as I
Yeah.
am and biased, I still question like the fit long term, at least with the roster we have today. So I think this is sneakily probably the best move in terms of setting Cleveland. If this is like, it looks like this could be the year. If this is the year, let's go for the home run. Let's like make all the moves we need to make to set ourselves up to succeed in the playoffs. I think, obviously they haven't had too many struggles during the season, but making sure that you have the pieces when you finally get to the postseason, I think is really understated in how big this trade was. So definitely excited to see more.
Same. Yeah. That's the thing. We're definitely probably all overreacting to these trades to some extent because we've seen so little of the result. But yeah, see, I would agree with you. I mean, so far from what I've seen, the Fox trade, the Hunter trade, the Luca trade, but that might not be for this year. That
Yeah.
might be that's for the next 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm going to argue it destroyed the Mavs of this year. And then also
Yeah,
the next
well,
10
they
years.
destroyed themselves.
No, they were cursed, Brandon. Don't you see? Like
They
a
were not
shaman
cursed.
took over the office to put on a mask resembling Nico and made this trade happen. It's crazy. It's like Mission Impossible, dude.
I mean, to
Yeah.
quote an ancient, I don't even remember what country this would be from, probably America, proverb, don't try to change a tire while you're driving the car. And I think that's exactly what the Mavs tried to do this year,
Wise.
where they might not have been, exactly happy with where they were, but it definitely didn't help them go any faster to where they want to be. So
But the biggest thing that I've hung up on with that thing, I know we're still just talking about, but no, it's literally the craziest trade of all time. So we're going to
yeah,
still talk about it. The biggest thing to me is it's like the logic of, you know what, we need defense wins championships. Luca's defense is a big reason why we slipped in the finals. And I want to turn around and go, okay, how did you get to the finals?
oh yeah.
Can
Yeah.
we answer that question?
Yeah.
It's like
It
it
was
wasn't
obviously
Gafford. I'll
it,
tell you that
it
much.
was the opposite of a curse. They were blessed by the same shaman. Now this is when the curse comes in. It's the karma, man.
It's
They
unbelievable.
shouldn't have made it that far, man, with the way Luca was playing, man. Obviously.
They also look all love to Anthony Davis. They also traded a guy who was in the finals last year for a guy who hasn't been in the finals since 2020.
Yeah.
Where's the logic in that?
And that was the bubble.
It
Remember that,
was
everybody.
the bubble. And yeah, okay, and to give him credit, a couple years ago he was in the Western Conference Finals. So there you go.
Okay.
That's something at least. But
Um,
I don't know. I'm still just my mind is blown.
I don't know. I've had years of Mavs hatred in my heart as a Spurs fan. You think I'd be laughing at the fans' downfall, but it's just sad. It's just a sad time.
Everyone's bummed out about it. I as someone who again is in a situationship with the Lakers, I'm still really bummed out about it for the Mavs. I'm just that I wanted Luca to be the type of player who played his whole career in Dallas,
Dude, it's
won him
crazy
a title
Brandon
or
can say all
two.
that with like a giant shit-eating grin on his
No,
face.
I don't even have a grin. Look, was I given a little treat? I kind of thought that my days of like watching exciting LeBron James games were like They were going to be fun this year, going to mix it up in the playoffs, but we're on the end of it. Then Luca comes around, and it's like, oh, I've got this whole other chapter. Maybe that's interesting. Um, which I really thought that was going to be the Bronny chapter, but that didn't really pan out for me. No, I'm just kidding. But
Well, I'm so happy for you. All the league is so
thanks.
happy for you.
I mean,
Thank you.
I could agree with. I was excited to kind of see LeBron be the underdog for a while. I know,
Yeah.
like with him and Anthony Davis slowing down, they, clearly haven't been necessarily favorites the last few years, but I don't think anyone was really betting against them uh, to like have a chance to get into the playoffs and do stuff. Um, yeah, I was definitely excited to have a few years of just like letting LeBron ride into the sunset as the oh, can LeBron do it again? Oh, can LeBron do it again? Um,
Yeah,
but
so
now it's just if he doesn't succeed, it's going to go into that legacy of it adds more fuel to that fire of is LeBron really the GOAT at 40? What is he like 41?
yeah, when
Trying
he was
to
just given like this amazing all-star instead of having the team around. And when I think about this, what Adam just said, it reminds me of my real sports passion, which is esports. I specifically follow League of Legends esports, and there is a player that is considered the greatest of all time, and it was considered the greatest of all time because he won like basically three championships back to back to back at this at the beginning of his career. It was actually just two back to back, and then he won one the year after. He missed the third one. Everyone called him the GOAT, but then like years pass and suddenly it's 2023 and he hasn't won since 2017. Everyone's like, oh, maybe he'll ride off to the sunset, maybe he'll retire. Like esports athletes usually end their careers around 30. And then he
Hashtag
comes
walk in.
but then he comes back around and then has this team of youngins around him, and then they win 2023, and then they step back and they win 2024, and then he's the ultra goat. And that's what I guess I would want from LeBron. But now it's like, I guess I still want the same thing for LeBron. I'd want him to solidify. I mean, his legacy solidified, but have that last golden moment before he turns 62.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think we should at least for a little bit talk about a certain guy named Mr. Jimmy Butler joining the Golden State Warriors.
dude, I saw an interview with him that he said, my body's not used to it. I need to get back into shape. I had to call a timeout after 5 minutes of running on the court. And I'm like, man, how long were you not playing basketball? Were you not conditioning for that whole time? You're not injured. You just,
Hey, at least he's honest.
your feelings were hurt.
I think he was being facetious in that interview, to be honest,
I hope
because
so.
of Pat's comments about how he wasn't playing enough with the team. So
Well, I hope so.
it was funny. I did see him also comment on his relationship with Draymond because everyone thought that there was going to be initially going to be sparks that could turn into a fire. But it seems like they're getting along so far. Obviously, we'll have to see when Draymond starts throwing punches at the nearest human being who he hits. But um, we'll see how that continues to develop as the season goes on. I am very confused with where Golden State's trajectory is going with this. Another one of those situations where they're trying to potentially win now with some aging superstars that I don't see a clear path to championship. It seems more like they just want to hang around in the playoffs for a few more years and let Steph retire eventually. But yeah, it's a very confusing place to be from an outsider perspective looking at this Golden State team.
Yeah, to me, it's like you had to do it. You had to throw the Hail Mary. Steph's getting older. I think it makes them better. I don't think you just go through the Western Conference and ask yourself like, are they beating this team? Are they beating like let me pull it up here. So OKC, no, I don't think so. They beating them in the playoff series? I don't think so. Memphis, probably not. The Nuggets, no. The Lakers, Possibly. I don't know. We'll see what that team looks like by the end of the year. The Rockets, I just don't see
Yeah.
a lot of teams that I think Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, as great as they are at this point in their life, are beating. And my number two thing about it is just that I'm seeing a lot of like, oh, Jimmy Butler, it's the alphas, it's Draymond and Jimmy. It's like, congratulations, guys. Like, in some ways, you deserve each other because one of you forced your way out of Miami and got really, really ugly with the team you were with. And then the other one punched the future of your franchise in the face and like messed him up for at least a while, it seems, psychologically. Like, great job, guys. You did it. Now you get to be together on a team.
Well, it's more
Yeah.
And
like
maybe that'll result in like them really vibing and kicking ass. It could. They're great Steph and Jimmy together. Like, it seems like something that could really mean something in the playoffs, but I just wonder what teams they're beating.
Well, when you mentioned Draymond and Jordan Poole, I think less of that on Draymond because Draymond would do that to anyone. I think it more as in like Steve. I just think more there's a Kerr. This is the Kerr. This is the team Kerr gets, huh? Like developing this kind of locker room and developing, I guess, this what seems to be a cesspool besides Steph Curry. You know what I mean?
That kind of leans. You use an interesting word there that I'm curious to see y'all's thoughts on this, but development as a coach is something that a lot of teams talk about, right? You always have, the the coaches that they bring in, the general for the tanking season, if you want to call it that, where development is first and foremost. I don't know that Steve Kerr has that reputation in the NBA, and it's one of those critiques that like early on with the Golden State dynasty that people kind of said that Steve Kerr wasn't actually doing anything as the coach. So it's interesting to see like the decision that they made to go out and get another superstar because the last few they had James Wiseman, they flubbed on him. They've had Andrew Wiggins. Obviously, he's had some he didn't live up to expectations in anywhere he's been necessarily, but like could have developed him a little bit more. Jordan Poole, we saw how he turned out. So like it's very interesting to see the dynamic of a team that their coaching staff doesn't seem to be able to develop young players and instead is going to go out of their way to try to uh, resuscitate their franchise with this like aging superstar. I just think that's kind of like an interesting uh, dynamic that they have set up, and it almost makes me confused when you have coaches that have shorter tenures that are considered development coaches, and then you have Steve Kerr over here kind of riding the bench as long as Steph Curry's there and being safe in his job, it seems like.
Right, and these guys exist. That's kind of the case with Mike Malone too, right?
Yeah.
These guys who are kind of Steve. I think Steve Kerr would very much push against being considered that way. But if you look at how their younger players have us out, but also one of his beloved championship core players punched one of them in the face a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and he was never the same again for them. So like. I, I don't know. Draymond, as great a player as he is in some ways, it seems like there were several sliding door moments around Draymond Green for that franchise, um, going all the way back to the 2016 finals. That you just like. I guess the thing is with Draymond, you take the lumps, but you also win the gold, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just a package
But
deal
how
with
long
him.
has it been? How long
Well,
has
it's
it
been a
been
few
since
years.
that last gold?
It's been a few years. It
Wait,
sure has.
maybe Jimmy B and Draymond sharing the
Could
court,
be.
beating up everybody else, mentally
Well, that's
and
kind of
Actually,
physically.
this is coming from someone who's kind of a little bit of a Warriors hater. I had to watch them play Cleveland with cheat code
I think
Kevin
everyone
Durant, who
in
did
this pod is a Warriors hater, Brandon. You're
who.
among safe
Okay, yeah.
space, safe company.
Just want to reiterate, Kevin Durant, who did the weakest move in NBA history, just undoubted. He holds the belt. Going to the Warriors. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for that. But with them, it's like I almost would have rather seen them overpay Clay and just ride it out with their guys. But now they've got
Yeah,
this weird hybrid where it's like, no, we're not going to do that because we want to stay competitive, but we're going to keep Draymond, we're going to keep Steph, we're going to try out, we're going to run. I mean, they had like a ton of dudes coming off the bench earlier this season. We're going to play all these guys, see what kind of trades we can get, and I guess this is where they wanted it to pan out. But clearly, there wasn't this really clear set in stone path, given that they were going after Kevin Durant, who didn't want to go back.
yeah.
So they just kind of got who they could. It seems like that to me doesn't seem like a really convincing. I don't know, deep playoff team, but we'll see.
No, I totally agree. I wanted to talk about that a little bit too. Of it feels very disingenuous, I guess, with how Butler ended up there. How it seemed like Golden State was pursuing KD, and obviously there was a lot of like Butler and KD had to kind of move at the same time if there was going to be a move. I know that Butler wanted to go to Phoenix, and so either you have to move Beal or KD at that point, but Beal was already saying he has a no trade clause. I don't want to leave. So it's just in like I don't understand how as a player the Golden State situation with all that's going on there is better than the Miami situation in Jimmy Butler's eyes. And then even on the other side, how Golden State looks at what's happening in Miami and says, you know what? We could use some of that energy. You know what I mean?
Sure. I think Butler was at a point where he wants to be. He doesn't want to deal with the Pat Riley stuff anymore. He doesn't want to deal
That's
with.
fair.
He wants to get the veteran coddling that most guys get. Uh,
And
and
he
I don't
saw
know.
what's happening in Golden State, and he was like, "Give me some of that."
And look, if you heard me
I
say
hear we
that,
can
you
do
probably have to
anything
sweep me up
here.
with a dustbin. But like, I think it's kind of true.
We can do anything we want in Golden State. Hey,
The other thing
the
too,
world's their
I'm
oyster.
more afraid. As far as sorry, Tyler, um, I'm more afraid of the Warriors with Durant
Oh yeah,
than Butler. Like, if they got KD, it would have been like, oh my god, these guys already have continuity.
Like current day
Uh,
KD.
I mean, that would have been really interesting. And with Butler, they could still, shake things up, but it's just, I don't know.
Wonder what caused KD to turn around. Like what made him go, nah, not again.
I wonder if how the injury was handled,
yeah.
if that has anything to do with it. From the 2019 finals, when he went out and tried to play, and he tore the ACL, right?
I I
Was
think
it?
it was Achilles. I'm not
It was
100%
Achilles. You're
sure.
right. No, no, no. You're totally right. It was Achilles. Um, I think there was possibly some angst over how that was handled by Golden State's medical staff, and the Draymond stuff got really, really ugly. As much as they might brush it off now, um, and also
Yeah.
like when you have people like me on a dumb podcast saying like it was the weakest move in NBA history to go back, is probably like I don't know if I want to do that again.
Yeah, he's too
But
proud. Too proud, I guess.
KD still is one of the best in the league when he's out there, and that that would have been scary to see if he would have gone back.
Yeah,
Well, it's a land of what ifs, I guess. That who knows will ever see that
Yeah.
happen again. I did want to bring a topic that I found interesting on the NBA subreddit. If you guys are interested, again about a big man. Uh, do you guys agree or disagree? Lauri Markkanen is one of the worst contracts in the league.
I agree. And this came up, I think, when we were pursuing. I think Tyler and you and I had talked about this a little bit with
Yeah, a
the
bit.
Laurie Markkinen into the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
I I definitely think Laurie Markkinen is an interesting player. I still think there's some potential there with the right fit.
Well, can I go over
Uh,
his contract?
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
then
If you want to give the numbers, yeah, for
he
sure.
is getting paid 240 million over 5 years. He currently puts up 19, 6, and 2 on a 57% shooting average.
Yeah.
So
It,
make of that
it's
what you will. 240 over 5 years.
yeah, it's so hard to tell on a team like Utah, though. And not to say that I think he'd be putting up 40 points a game on some other team, but when you just got the tank going on around you, and there are some nice players on that team, but I don't know. I think it's hard to
So you don't
really.
think? So do you think his contract is still kind of worth it?
No.
No, I was asking
No, I
Brandon.
don't
Oh.
either.
No, you don't think so.
I don't either. I like Markin, and I'm trying to defend him a little bit, but
Someone
no,
in
I
this
don't. I don't
thread
think.
said, for reference, John Collins is putting up 18 and 8 on 63% and getting paid half of what Laurie's getting paid, and that was considered an
Yeah,
overpay. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I also think part of it is the uh how do I put this? It's the expectations of the franchise around the player. I think sometimes, and uh, you can see this with certain GMs and certain ownership groups, they pay up a guy in the hopes that other people will see his, you know, paycheck and be like, oh, he could be our guy. Um,
almost like calling a bluff.
yeah, yeah. Like we're gonna lock him up for 5 years in the hopes that we can maybe use, he has a good first year, ship off that contract for a star player if we don't necessarily believe in him. It's definitely interesting, and you see it actually with the, I think I forget, are they still, who's the GM of the Jazz? Is it still the guy from Boston?
yeah,
Uh,
it's Ainge.
yeah,
Yeah,
Danny
Ainge.
Ainge.
Uh, yeah, so I was gonna say this is an Ainge move all the way. Is trying to pump up a player. It's the modern NBA pump and dump scheme
Fleece
where
him.
yeah, you pump up a player, you give them a bunch of minutes, you make them look like they could be a guy, cornerstone piece, young player, has potential, ship them off for some picks, and then you just build your team through the draft and develop who you want, and then you're constantly cycling out these picks. Some of them hit, some of them don't, and I really think that's where the Jazz are right now. So it's definitely not a good contract. Don't get me wrong, but I
Right.
think realistically, if there was a team like probably not the best fit, uh, but Golden State having a little bit of capital, needing like that small forward position, like I almost think that the Lauri Markkanen move might be a little bit better for them long term than a Jimmy Butler move, if they were really trying to do that. But um,
Yeah, they're like that's the interesting thing, and that's a really good way to put it, Adam. Is the reason the Golden State stuff's perplexing to me is like I don't think they can win now with it, and it definitely doesn't set them up for the future.
yeah,
Whereas a Markkanen thing would be kind of a like, okay, this guy can kind of be part of the next chapter and sort of bridge the gap, but they've been trying to bridge that gap almost this entire decade
yeah.
and kind of unsuccessfully. So,
Well, and
um,
that's kind of where I was getting to with the like development part. Is this is Lauri Markkanen, and this is like in this hypothetical would be a guy they'd bring in that's already partially developed. We've seen he can score. We've seen his game. You don't really have to worry about like where his ceiling is. Obviously, he'll have potential to grow if you really invested in him. But like the other guys they've had in Golden State have been homegrown, right? They've had a lot of like young talent kind of come up through the lottery in the last couple of years, or not even I guess all of them in the lottery, but just like their own draft picks that fell through. So to like try to set yourself up for the future and bridge that gap with like these middle of the way contracts, you have to choose those like 26, 27-year old quote unquote vets. I hate when we call what are basically young adults veterans, but it's part of today's game. But you have these characters that are like they could be a guy on a team. You have to pay them a little bit more because they're, if not, they're just going to go to Washington, cough cough Jordan Poole, and get a max contract. So uh, whether you get them to buy into the system or not, that's another part of it. But if you really don't want to develop, it doesn't make sense to me that these teams are continuing to go after these Jimmy Butler types, KD types. Um, if your current aging superstar is on the way out in the next couple seasons, so That being said, Steph and LeBron, two examples of that. No end in sight. I don't know.
Yeah, the
It's
future
hard
doesn't
to tell.
exist for these kind of guys, huh? The future just isn't real. It's just always
It's
basketball now, forever. So
Yep.
I think it's a big swing for the fences here for the end of Steph's career, which he frankly deserves. I
No,
mean,
100%.
like he deserves the team to really go all in and try to win one more championship.
yeah, it doesn't feel
I just
right. The
don't know if this is how you
Warriors.
do it.
It doesn't feel right. The Warriors sucking for so long as they have. But on the other hand,
I don't know.
when we all,
It's not like they're Charlotte. Like sorry, Charlotte.
Yeah.
I'm throwing Charlotte's
you
catching a lot
really
of strays.
Hornets
I
are
mean, they
really
won in 22. It's not that long ago.
It's
Hornets
not
are
like
catching
they're
a lot here.
it's not like they're Detroit. You
Well,
know what I
Detroit
mean?
right now is up 40 points in Chicago, I think,
Yeah.
at the half. So they got something going right now.
I mean, you could easily say it's not like they're Chicago too. So
That's
I don't know
true.
if that's the best
That's true.
comparison.
Well, boys,
By
the
the way, I want
only
to apologize to the Charlotte Hornets. I've been unnecessarily mean.
I
There's
don't
just been
think
a
he
lot of.
actually wants to apologize to the Charlotte Hornets.
No,
I'm
I
going
do.
to
I do.
I'm
Just in
apologizing
the
for his
last 4
fake
months, there's
apology.
been a lot of bizarre Charlotte Hornet stories. That's all. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
That's
it's
all
just a
I'm
weird place in Charlotte. Ever since MJ left, just
saying.
strange.
Hey, Charlotte itself, lovely. I'm sure. I've
Oh
never
yeah,
been
yeah,
there,
yeah.
but
Well, the last
you
piece of
know,
news I have here, guys, is that Brandon Ingram, the new Toronto Raptor star, is getting a contract extension. He's agreed to a 3-year, 120 mil contract extension with the Raptors. So good for
Yeah.
him. That's some money.
what
I
the hell are they doing?
once again, we're already talking about NBA purgatory. I have no idea what
The
the
Raptors.
Raptors are trying to do with this.
No,
I
they're just
love
having
Brandon
fun,
Ingram.
man. They're just having fun.
I think Brandon Ingram is a great player, but what are they doing? I genuinely don't know. This could be big brain, like this bites me in the ass in like 2 years, 3 years, but like I have no idea what this Raptors depth chart looks like. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. They have a lot of good young players, right? Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, quickly, but like what is the end game? Are any of these guys the guy? Do you hope that you have one of uh like a season like the Atlanta Hawks where you somehow sneak to the finals just because you have a deep roster? Like
Well, I want to
I'm
tell
not
you, Adam,
sure.
these comments are all saying are all saying that this is a reasonable amount of money. And this is a reasonable extension. And better than
What?
basically
What are you trying?
basically everyone is saying they're glad he wasn't supermaxed.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
sure.
can agree. I will say I know we just got off the topic of like a really bad contract in terms of numbers. I do think 120 over 3 years is a solid contract for BI. It's flexible enough that it's only 3 years. So if this experiment doesn't work, they're not completely screwed with like 5 years.
He also has
But
a
then
player
also,
option in 27.
yeah. So like it's a very flexible contract for like moving forward, but at the same time, why make the move in the first place? Is this to win a championship now? Is this to build a stronger roster over the next couple years where he's a contributing piece? That's where I'm confused. Like, what does
Also,
BI mean to the Raptors?
what I don't get is it's like what you could do the Spider-Man meme of Brandon Ingram and Pascal Siakam pointing at each other. Like, what the? How is that different? Like, you just traded off Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, a fresh coat of
Yeah.
paint never hurt anyone, Brandon. Come on, man.
I don't know. And I'm sorry, Raptors. See. I'm
Dude,
very apologetic.
everyone's
Listen,
catching a little bit of heat
this whole-
today
by
from
the way,
Brand.
number one, Tyler, you saying I'm just having fun is the funniest thing. It's like
they're just
I
having fun,
I
man.
don't know.
They're just
I'm
having a
just
good
having
time.
fun.
The Raptors just having a good
Why not?
time,
I'm
man.
trying stuff.
They're just
number
trying
two,
something, man.
This whole team is just structured so Dick gets to the hole.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I like that the NBA right now is a bunch of fun teams and then like a handful of these
Brady
teams that
Dick
are
joke
just
here?
having
I don't
fun.
know.
So I'm glad that's where we are. Well, boys, that brings us to the hour. Anyone else have any final notes to go over on this episode of Gimme Gimme the Ball?
I'll save my Grady Dick jokes next time. That was very poorly received by everyone.
I didn't even hear your Grady Dick joke. I'm so sorry. It cut out with
Maybe
the
the mic.
Discord.
Yeah, maybe the
the
mic
mic
cut.
didn't catch
Oh,
it.
the mic. Oh, I just said this whole team is structured so Dick gets to the hole.
Oh, that's good.
Thank
That's
God.
good. That's
Okay,
good.
I was
That's good. That's
Heck
good.
yeah.
I was really worried that you guys
Well,
weren't into that.
well,
Yeah.
with that, with
You could even
that
add
second
another layer
chance,
with Quickly in there. You got Dick
the
quickly
quick
getting to the hole.
the quick Dick get into the hole. Hey, GD is one of my favorite non-rookie rookies right now. Okay, that guy is still probably getting me some points in my fantasy league, which we will
What, and I
revisit.
just see they just got a buyout of Jonathan Penis. Man, they're just loading this team right
Oh
up.
my god.
Mm.
All right. Hey, the All-Star break's coming up. Well, we're going to have not much to talk about, Raleigh, about the regular season. Not all the trades are out of the way. Maybe we'll do a recap on our teams that we all have definitely been updating week to week, for sure. None of us forgot.
Oh God,
None of us
I
haven't
know
been
what place
doing
my team's in.
it.
I don't even think,
Anyone else
Brandon. I don't even think your team is gonna eventually hit the cap on games played. I think you're gonna have empty games.
That's all right. Yeah, we're tanking for next year. You know,
Are you
Yeah, this
though?
does
Are you just
determine your draft position
you're
for
not
next
just
year,
having
so.
fun?
my team's fumbling for flag.
Oh, I see. I see. Is that what we're
hitting super
calling
flag
it?
next year.
I
That's
always
the
liked
strategy.
I always liked the fade for Cade. Now this is the fumble for flag.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. I might need more time to work it out.
I appreciate it. Well, boys, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. We have been your hosts of Gimme Gimme the Ball. As always, I've been Tyler, and we have Adam
Hello.
and Brandon.
Hey.
All right, everyone, say goodnight to the folks at home. Good night, folks at home.
Good
Have
night, folks at home.
fun.